death, I wasn't expecting to be this emotional after seeing Lance Barber return in Georgie and Mandy's first marriage.
Listen to you. You sound like Dad.
Well, genetics.
As has been discussed so many times in the last 2 years in comedy. These days, the Coopers remain represented on TV thanks to Georgie and Mandy's first marriage, which I'm surprised has been able to preserve a similar tone despite being a multi-camera sitcom. That being said, it's going to even work. I've always known that the Cooper patriarch will eventually come back in Georgie and Mandy's first marriage. As I've correctly pointed out, Lorre and his team are mining inspiration from Professor Proton's post-death return in The Big Bang Theory for George's comeback, with Georgie's dad coming back through his dream. What I didn't expect is for Georgie and Mandy's first marriage to do this early on in its run. While other specific details about Barber's appearance remain under wraps, it is confirmed to happen in its debut year. In fact, they have even filmed the scene. It was co-creator Steve Malaro who shared the first look at George and Georgie's reunion on screen via a behind-the-scenes image. According to the producer, they are already editing the said episode, which means that it could be released in the next few weeks. I stand by my original stance on the matter. Barber's cameo as the Cooper family patriarch should happen after at least a couple of seasons. At this point, it's way too soon to see him again as George following his death in Young Sheldon. Still, I can't argue that the image has made me so unexpectedly emotional. George and Georgie's reunion is set in the Cooper home. The Cooper home's breakfast table serves as the backdrop for George and Georgie's talk. So far, only the behind-the-scenes image from Malaro is the only look at Barber's return as George in Georgie and Mandy's first marriage. Despite that, the setting of the scene makes it all the more emotional for me, and I'm assuming everyone who loved the Coopers throughout Young Sheldon's run. For starters, the pair's dream sequence will take place in their family breakfast nook, with the father and son sitting down for a conversation. Per the official report, George comes to Georgie as baby Cece's father, struggling with the idea that he's failing his dad's legacy. The idea in itself is already heartbreaking, especially knowing how hard life has been for Georgie lately. But seeing George sitting down in his own home, knowing that he never made it back for their family photo that fateful day of his heart attack, brings up more emotions than grieving his loss. The scene is also a reminder of the life that he never got to live. Despite the Big Bang Theory's depiction of the character, George was dedicated to his family. Knowing that he was on the cusp of getting his dream job makes his death much more tragic. George's return fixes Young Sheldon's biggest Georgie missed opportunity. Georgie had a contentious relationship with his father. It's worth noting that the scene is equally bittersweet from Georgie's perspective. I know that seeing his dad again would be a big treat for George and Mary's firstborn, especially considering how Young Sheldon tackled the pair's relationship. While Sheldon always had his mom coddling him in the prequel, and Missy had a special bond with his father, Georgie was often left on his own. He specifically had a difficult relationship with George, who used to criticize his decisions. Young Sheldon Season 7 somehow repaired their dynamic, but it wasn't remotely near complete when George died. All these nuances make me both excited and somewhat scared to see George's reunion with Georgie in Georgie and Mandy's first marriage. For a sitcom, Lorre and his writers were able to successfully endear Sheldon and his family to avid viewers like me, that revisiting the clan's biggest loss thus far is like opening a wound before it can even fully heal. I know that sounds a little bit too dramatic for a show, but that's the power of these universal stories. Thanks for watching.